Here's what I would recommend including in a lesson contract. Expectation that your students will arrive having worked on the music. Expectation that they will arrive promptly and at the designated lesson time. Like, so if they show up 10 minutes late for a 1 hour lesson, they're getting a 50-minute lesson that day. It's, good cop, bad cop. We're playing bad cop here, but you really need to justify, once again, this is your time, this is your profession. They wouldn't do this with a doctor's appointment. They wouldn't do this, if you have an appointment with a lawyer. Once again, it's irrelevant. So we need to hold ourselves and parents and students to the same standards of professionalism that we find in nearly every other world outside of arts and nonprofit. So that's a great one to include. Also that they will bring any and all accessories, whether it's mutes, rosin, reeds, music, a pencil, always a pencil. And then for younger students, I found, along with that, something that really helped was that mentioning in the contract, and you can even talk through it when you're first sharing it with the parents, having a designated folder or binder for their music. The number of times I had young trumpet students who would show up for a lesson, I go, great, do you have your music from last week? And they go, yeah, and they reach into the trumpet case and it's just this crumbled ball of just music. It's like, let's just make sure that's not a thing. So just add into your little contract, like you're gonna have a designated place. The student will show up, it's gonna be clean. It's a small thing, but it made big differences over time for me. And then let's get into the thing that everyone wants to talk about, which is cancellation policy that's clearly outlined. For me, what I found was best and most fair was that you mentioned that your cancellation policy is you need to be notified 48 hours in advance of the lesson, or the lesson will be billed regardless. This gives them enough time, 48 hours, that's fine. And this is, of course, barring sickness or emergencies, of course. So you have that in there. So if it's an emergency or the student ends up sick, and it's less than 48 hours to the lesson, of course you cancel and you're not charging them for that. But 48 hours in advance of the lesson, you need notification of them canceling, or they're getting billed. This is really hard for us. I think musicians, we're nice, we're good people overall. We develop connections with the students and their families over time, which will make it feel like you should give them a break instead of holding them accountable. And this is why it's really crucial that you start doing this as soon as possible, the first lesson with a student, or as soon as you can with existing students, so that it really becomes just something that everyone knows about. And what I found is as I held people accountable for this, my number of cancellations goes way down. I mean, it's incredible. It's night and day. I had students who would cancel, out of 2 months of lessons, it was like maybe one lesson a month. It would have before this, and after that, one a year, maybe something like that. So it was a huge difference I saw in that. But also what I found, because no one likes to talk money, and you don't want to have to be like the bill collector. It's frustrating, especially as so many of us get paid online, PayPal or Venmo or all these others that people are now choosing to use, to have to like follow up with a parent. You've taught the lesson 7 hours ago and you still haven't gotten paid, and now you have to text them or send them an email. Hey, just if you could send an email. It's very frustrating. So getting people on board as soon as possible with expectations of payment. Timing of payment is also fine too. You can include, if you prefer to be paid in cash or whatever your payment options, you can include that. You can also include, I have some students that pay me for the entire month of lessons up front, because the parents are busy and that's easier for them. So can I just pay you up front? So you can offer that, which is great. And also that reduces cancellation because they've already paid for it. And so they really, it can really feel like it hurts quite a bit that way for them. But what's interesting is when you have this in place, you'll start to find parents that when they do reach out, maybe they do. I had a student who the family last minute decided to go skiing that weekend or whatever, and I had a lesson scheduled on Saturday, and they reached out Friday and said, Chad, we just last minute decided to do a little ski trip. So sorry, I'm gonna pay you for the lesson anyway. And so I found that this contract actually makes them really respect you more, and that they'll pay, like they'll bring it up, they'll even word it. They'll say, listen, Chad, we have to cancel this week. We'll just pay for it anyways right now. And it just takes the hassle out of it. So get this going. And of course, if you have a student you've worked with for 3 or 4 years and they're great and they're consistent and they pay, yeah, you can once in a while let things slide. But for the first, 6 months to 1 year with a student, just really no exceptions to what's in your contract. it just makes it a healthier working relationship.